right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Again, this is Active Yoga Basics. My name is Kristen, and thank you so much for coming to class today. If you have any questions about anything, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, please put it in the chat or reach out to us through our social media or our website. I'll be happy to give you any sort of tips or modifications if something doesn't seem right for your body in this class today. So skip anything that doesn't feel good. If you know it's not accessible to you, just don't even attempt it. Take this, at your own pace with what's available to you in your body. Not every shape is for every body, but there's typically some different ways that we can be in those shapes for whatever is different in our bodies. Okay, so let me know if I can help you with that, and we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll begin in mountain pose, separating our feet about hip width distance. If you're unsure what that means in your body, that's two fists next to each other, bend down and place them in between your big toes. And a lot of times you'll notice that there are little adjustments that need to be made there. It doesn't matter really how long you practice. It's always good to just check in with your alignment, okay? So then we'll lift up all the toes, spread them out really wide, and place them back down on your mat. Shift your weight towards your toes and lift up your heels. So even if you're in a chair, you can lift your heels, you can lift your knees, you could put something under your feet to help you. And then bring your heels down and lift your toes up. You might go 1 foot at a time, check in with your balance. And then bring your toes forward, lift and lower your heels. Just begin to rock a little bit backwards and forwards, waking up your feet. Noticing how it feels to go a little bit forwards and backwards through the ankles to the toes. And you could keep going this way or add a little movement side to side. So roll to the outer edge of your foot. You might feel the skin on the top of your foot actually shift around to the side, 1 foot to the other. And then aware of your knees, right? Don't turn your knee inwards. Just put a little pressure in towards the big toe mounds. So you don't want your knee to really move in that direction. You don't want to hurt your knee in the process of stretching out your feet. All right, then to the other side. And then all of these together, if you like, forwards, backwards, left to right. Maybe there's a different rhythm that works best for you. So waking up the feet, stretching them out is the foundation of the rest of this practice. When you're ready, begin to let your feet settle. Lift up your toes again, try to spread them out a little wider and place them back down on your mat. Put a little bend in your knees, right? We just want to have it feel a little bit awkward here, like we're just about to sit down. So a bend in the knees are forward out in front of us. The knees are not out, the knees are not in. If you struggle with the knees coming in towards each other, put a little pillow or something in between your thighs to help you. So we're lifting up the toes. We've got a little bend in the knees. Now let's think about the core. Draw the tailbone down. So many of us are pelvic forward. So draw the tailbone down. Think of the pelvic floor lifting up, belly button towards your spine, which often brings the shoulders forward. So lift your ribs up and take a moment to roll your shoulders up and back. This could be a big movement. This could just be a little bit. This could be one shoulder at a time. Let them settle when you're ready. All right, if it's available, let the palms move a little bit forward. This should feel pretty natural though. This shouldn't feel like really reaching the arms forward, right? Just by our sides naturally. All right, we still have that awkward bend in the knees, right? We're still lifting up from the toes. The core is engaged. From here, try to engage your thighs to straighten your legs. So a lot of times when we say straighten the legs, that gets lost in translation and it becomes locking out the knees. So I'll turn to the side here. I don't know if you can see too well, but if you're locking out the knees, there's a pressure that goes through the back of the knee. This is not what you want. So if that's you, then put a little micro bend in your knee to just help protect you from that. All right, lower those toes down, stand up a little bit taller on your inhale. Relax your shoulders down on your exhale. Let your eyes close. If that's tough for you, think of focusing on the tip of your nose or the space between your eyebrows instead. Take a big breath in and a slow breath out. If it's a part of your practice, palms together, center of your chest, Anjali Mudra, just take a moment to create an intention. This could be dedication. This could just be a moment of silence. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Opening up your eyes. Interlace your fingers and place them underneath your chin. If this is new to you, take a few moments to just watch what I'm doing. It can feel a little bit complicated in the beginning. So we're interlacing the fingers are staying under the chin the entire time. All the principles of mountain pose down to the floor. Look up towards your ceiling, loud ha sound, bringing your elbows to touch like this. On your inhale, level your chin. Lift up your elbows. This is a simultaneous movement. Exhale, head back, loud ha sound. Work to squeeze the old air out. Elbows touch when breathless. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, level your chin. Keep your shoulders down when you lift your elbows up. Exhale, head back. Use the core and squeeze the elbows in. 2 more. For the last one, slow it down. When you lift your elbows up, try to take in an extra sip at the very top, holding it in. Exhale, squeeze all the air out until you're breathless. Elbows touch at the end, arms down by your sides. So your elbows might not touch there, right? At the end of that practice, when you're closing that exhale, that just comes over time in practice. And the more you do this sort of action, the more the back of your shoulders will open up to help that action in the future. All right, so from our mountain pose, inhale, reach your arms up overhead. I always lose the fingers in the frame here. I'm a tall person, but I'm interlacing the fingers, releasing the index, crossing the thumbs, bringing the feet in towards each other, and just finding a little stretch from side to side. Keeping the core engaged. If this is too much with the arms up, no problem. Hands to your hips is fine. You can even have your arms down by your sides. This could easily be a better stretch for you. You can have your hands at heart center, right? You might mix it up while you move around. No big deal. Now you might like to take some circles around your waist. Just make sure you are engaging your core if that's what you're doing. We want to protect the spine by engaging our cores. All right, so when you're ready, come back to your center. Take a look at your big toes there. Just bring them in towards each other. Your heels can touch too, that's fine. If any of this hurts your back, go back to separating your feet. All right, deep breath in, zipping up the core. On your exhale, half moon, stretching over to your right. So over to the right, nothing changes in the lower part of your body. We're just working to create some extension up from the torso through the ribs. The shoulders draw down along the spine. And we're trying to straighten the arms to reach the arms over to the right side. Now, we're not trying to pop the hip out. We used to teach it that way. We're trying to be a little bit better about the hips now. So we're grounding down equally on both feet. You might be favoring one foot. Balance it out on both sides. Draw in from the core. Inhale to lift up your chest. Exhale to reach a little further. With your next inhale, come back up to your center, readjust for anything you need. And on your next exhale, stretch your upper body to the left. And you might feel this stretch more on the right side, even though you're reaching to the left. That's pretty normal. So we're shoulders down, lifting up the chest. If this is easy for you, you might think about drawing your arms further behind you or squeezing those biceps closer by your ears. Make sure you're not tilting your chin forward wherever you are. So tailbone down, belly button in, inhale to lengthen up, exhale to reach or to stretch, whatever word you like best. Inhale back up, exhale back to your mountain pose. All right, so now we'll separate the feet about hip width distance. You could go a tiny bit wider here or a little bit smaller. It doesn't really matter, just about hip width distance. We're going to go into a supported back bend. You may not need the support, but I'm going to teach it with support today because my lower back is not exactly happy with me. So I will lead by example. So feet are going to be about hip width distance for me. And I'm using a block in between the thighs as resistance. That's going to help keep me out of my lower back and remind me to kind of use those muscles to help support me a little bit better. For our back bend, we're going to take our hands, spread the fingers wide, flip your palms down, and place them at your lower back. If you're in a chair, you might grab the bottom of your chair instead. That could be a much better option for you. Inhale, lift up your chest. With your exhale, draw your elbows in, press your hips a little bit forward, and then shift your weight back into your heels. So hands are at the lower back or your chair, elbows are in, lifting up from the chest, trying to stretch, and then shift the hips forward. Make sure you engage your glutes a little bit. Balance the weight now between the toes and the heels. Inhale back up. Exhale and let it go back to your mountain pose. All right, if you put support in between your legs like me, just set it down to the side. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Now on your exhale, take your time as you forward fold. If your back's hurting, bend your knees or use your hands at your hips for more support. And when you're ready, just try to walk the hands down the legs into a forward fold. Adjust for whatever you need to. And you might like to grab opposite elbows here. It might be best for you to just have your hands on the floor or on blocks, right? Whatever's going to help you get the back of your hamstrings to soften a little bit and that space in the lower back to soften. Bending the knees will help. Support under the hands could help. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. You could stay here longer or add a shoulder opener into your fold. Interlace your fingers, knuckles reach up and overhead. You can do this with something in between your hands to make it more accessible to you. Anything basically will increase the wingspan here. So even a pillow in between the arms, and even if you're flexible, this gives you more range of motion, adding that space in between, and just kind of changes up where you're getting that stretch as well. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Slowly release your hands down to the floor. If it's okay with your knees and your hips, lower your hips down towards your heels. And we'll find ourselves in a little ball pose shape here. So you might have your hands under blocks to help you with balance or flexibility. You might just like to have it here because it keeps you out of your shoulders. There's always multiple purposes. Chin towards your chest if you can. Shoulders away from your ears, elbows in. And you're just creating this tight little ball shape the best you can. And then look a little bit forward and try to lift up your heels and then lower them down. So lifting and lowering. The rain has really picked up here in the last minute. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is pouring. Okay, so come back to your forward fold. Make sure those feet are hip width distance. Check in with your hands, right? Anytime. And we're going to come into a twist here in our forward fold. So take one of your blocks, center it in between your feet, and then a little bit forward. So that when you place your hand on top of it and you lean forward, your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder are going to be pretty much lined up. Bend both knees, bend your right knee a little bit more, engage your core, and then open up into a twist, reaching your left arm up. There's lots of options here. First, just make sure your chin is not crunching up towards your shoulder. Try to lean your head back a little bit. You can flip your left palm away and place it at the lower back to open up into a more of a left shoulder opening twist. You could place your left hand at your lower back and press down for a different experience. You can keep reaching your left arm up. Make sure you're using your core wherever you are, and then check in with those toes. You might be favoring some toes. Try to spread it out. One more breath in wherever you are. With your exhale, shift back to your forward fold and wiggle it out. Make sure everything feels okay before we move to the other side. Left hand grounds. Shift your weight towards your toes. Bend both knees and bend your left knee more. From your core, inhale to twist. So if we're reaching up through the right fingertips, spread those fingers wide or press them into each other, whatever feels best for you. Left shoulder spirals under, and we're trying to get the right hip away from the ribs, like a stretch all the way down, maybe through your hip. Balance the weight between your toes and heels. Wherever you are, take a big breath in. Exhale to twist. Stay for your inhale, and on your exhale, slowly shift back to your forward fold. Hands to your shins. Inhale to lift up halfway. Think of a long spine here. So shoulders back, elbows kind of spiral in, and shift the weight to your toes. With your exhale, make sure your blocks are set up towards the top of your mat. Bend your knees, pick up your right foot, point your toes straight back and step back into a lunge. Take your time. This could be many steps for you. You may have to bring your left foot forward with your hand. And when you're ready, lower your right knee down, untuck your toes. So if you need more stability, go back to tucking those toes under. If you have an ankle injury or the top of your foot hurts, put a blanket on top of the floor there so that your foot can rest over top of it. It'll help out a lot. So flip your blocks up, lift up your chest. You might want to take your hands to your hips and check in that your hips feel pretty square, and then lower your right hip flexor down and forward. All right, so we want to press the right hip forward and down. The left heel feels like it's pressing down, but also drawing back. And that just turns on our hamstring to help protect. Deep breath in. On your exhale, slowly back to your half splits, flex your left foot. Slide your blocks back with you, keep your chest lifted. It's okay if you keep a bend in your knee, no problem. Let's move through some nerve glides. So point the toes away from you. You might feel the left thigh turn on, you might not. And then flex your left foot. Point your left toes. Flex your left foot. Point and flex. All right, come back to flexing your foot, engage your core. Inhale to your lunge. Right hip forward and down. Feel that stretch in the hip flexor. If you're pointing the toes straight back, feel it in the big toe. Exhale, back to your half splits. Now we'll just hold the flexion of the left foot, lengthening up from the torso. Inhale to your lunge. Exhale to your half splits. So from this half splits, lift up your chest, spiral your elbows in, and just hinge a little bit forward. So not leading with the chin. We have a tendency to do that. If that's you, tuck your chin first, and then just hinge forward. Hinging is from the pelvis and the lower back, right? It's not from the shoulders. It's not rounding. It's extension and reaching. Inhale to your lunge. Tuck your back toes. Lift your knee up off your mat. Squeeze the top of the back of the right thigh. Kick out from the back of your heel. Look a little bit forward. Bend your right knee a little bit. Inhale, lift your right leg. Hold it up there for a moment if you can. On your exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, pick up your left foot, point your toes, and when you're ready, kick that left foot back into your lunge. Lower your left knee down, and you decide what's best for your toes here on this side. Could be different. Blocks go back, lift up your chest. Feel the right heel pull back as you shift your left hip forward and down. And just make sure that your knee isn't passing your ankle. If you want to be even more therapeutic, the knee stays behind your ankle. Deep breath in. Exhale to your half splits, flexing your right foot. So check in with your hips. Sometimes in our hips, we kind of just kick it out to the side because it gives us this illusion of more of a stretch on the right side. Keep your hips square. Move through those nerve glides though, pointing and flexing. Flex your foot, engage your core. Inhale to your lunge. Exhale to your half splits, flex your right foot. Inhale to your lunge, shoulders stay back, keep lifting from your chest. Exhale to your half splits. All right, we'll hold this one for a moment. Stay here, right? Just work from here. Or add that bit of depth just by hinging forward. So for me, this is my tight side today. So hinging this far forward adds an incredible amount of stretch to this shape for me. So don't feel like you ever have to have this, big change in how your body looks for a deeper stretch. Sometimes it's a tiny little movement that adds a bigger stretch. From your core, inhale back to your lunge. Tuck your big toes under, lift your knee, squeeze the left thigh, Look forward, hover your left knee, use your core, right? Protect yourself. Inhale, lift your left leg, flex your foot. And on your exhale, forward fold. Make sure those feet are hip width distance. And we'll take hands to feet. There's so many ways to do this. So a couple options would be peace fingers around your big toes. You might take your hands under the sides of your feet. You might heel toe your feet together, take your hands behind your heels. That's a much deeper version of this shape. You might need to just have your hands around the back of your calves. And that's okay too. All right, so wherever you are, big breath in. On your exhale, just fold the upper body down. If your hands are behind your calves, shoulders back, elbows in, shift your weight towards your toes. You might have your hands around or close to your heels. You're still wrapping the elbows around the back of the legs. If you have your peace fingers around your big toes, you could have your elbows out. Some varieties of yoga teach it that way, but I like to bring the elbows in for consistency. Your choice. Use a strap if none of these options are working for you. Take a big breath in. Exhale and fold. Place your hands on your shins from your core. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Slowly lower up all the way to standing. Bringing the upper body up, head last. All right, so grab water, whatever you need to do. If you needed a break here, this is a good spot. We're going to move into our warrior sequence. If you're in a chair, you're just going to change your legs around to what I'm doing instead of these step bouts that we're going to be doing, right? So chairs can be really therapeutic in our warrior series for actually feeling where we're supposed to be using different things. So if you ever have a chance to take an actual chair class and you've never taken one before, regardless of whether you need it or not, it can teach you just a whole new different way to be in these shapes. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching with step outs to the left today, and make sure you have a block or something similar nearby. Go ahead and kick it to the middle of your mat if you think that's helpful for you. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale and kick your left leg out and let it be like on purpose, right? Kick the left leg out and let it land on purpose. Arms out to a T shape. Turn those toes in just a little bit. With your inhale, lift up your chest, engage your core, and with your exhale, forward fold. Hands can always be at your hips to be a little bit more careful. From here, hands to the floor or your block, and just move your hips a little bit side to side. Keep the knees in the direction of the toes. And if you have a larger range of motion, maybe you move into it, right? Listen to your body. Never force anything. Not in this class. Do that in someone else's class. All right, come back to your forward fold. Make sure the toes are turned inwards. A block is out in front of you. Place your left hand down and shift your weight forward. Make sure the wrist, elbow, shoulder all line up. Inhale to twist, right arm reaches up. So the hips stay square here. You can lower the left hip just a tiny little bit, but you don't want to lower it down too much. We want to twist more from the torso, less from the hips. Deep breath in. Exhale to twist. And release your right hand down. Let your head be heavy. Right hand grounds. Lift and lengthen from the torso. With your inhale, twist. Left arm reaches up. Check in with the hips. Find that internal rotation of the thighs. That's going to help you keep your hips square. A hand can stay at the lower back as a reminder as well. Wherever you are, breathe in to find space. Exhale and twist. Release your left hand back to your fold. Hang heavy, let it go. All right, hands to your hips or arms out to your T shape. Inhale, back up. Arms out to a T if they are at your hips. Pivot your right foot out to the right. Turn your left toes in just a little bit and bend and straighten your right leg. This is a great place to figure out if you can widen your stance or if you need to shorten your stance. And these little multi-joint repetitive movements help stretch the groin muscles, inner thigh muscles, places where we are just, we just hold lots of tension there sort of naturally for many of us. All right, so in our lunge, we need to make sure the knee is lined up with the back of the heel. Maybe even a little bit further behind. right? This is where a chair can come into place underneath your hips here and help you out. So there, we want to make sure the knee is not passing the ankle. If it is, reel it in. Drag the right knee over towards your pinky toe. So look at your pinky toe and try to drag the knee over towards it. You might have to put your hand there and just push it out a little bit. On the right side, it's an external rotation, the thigh is wrapping. And on the left side, it's an external. And usually it's an internal. So this is kind of an interesting situation where we have this hip opener going and it's wrapping in an external fashion. You're probably just wondering, how long are we going to stay in this shape? So send the arms out or keep them at your center. Shoulders down, lifting up your chest. Take a big breath in from your core. See if you can sit a little bit deeper. One more time, breathe in. Slow breath out. Reach a little bit forward. Think of your core, right? Use your core to extend. And then take the right elbow down to the right thigh. Swing your left arm down and keep the shoulder closed, reaching the palm overhead. So we're going to slide the right hip under, the left hip out. We're still in that hip opener. We're still tracking the right knee open. Maybe you look up, maybe not. Exhale. On your inhale, bring it back up and reverse. Right arm up and back. Palm stays down, always in this style. Left hand can be down the left thigh or at a half bind. We're still in our lunge. We're squeezing the glutes. We're squeezing the pelvic floor. One more breath in. Exhale, back to your warrior two. Straighten your right leg, go slow. Pivot those toes in, left toes out. Take some time here to bend and straighten. And I always like to bring the hands to heart center in between. You might like to get your heart rate a little bit higher and keep them up. Okay, so settle into this side. It could feel so different. Open through the hips. External rotation, wrapping around the hips. Take your hands around your thighs and draw them back and see if that makes a difference, right? Sometimes we just have to tell our muscles, this is the direction we need to go. Track the left knee open towards your pinky toe. Right hip is drawing back. You're pressing down through the outer edge of your right foot. Track the left knee. Deep breath in. Find the arms that are best for you. With your exhale, sit a little deeper. And sitting a little deeper might mean inching the right foot back. Better to inch the right foot back than shift the left leg. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Reach forward. Use your core. Reach, reach, reach. On your exhale, left arm down to the knee. Sweep the right arm under in front of you. This could be different than how you're used to doing it. Keep the shoulder closed and then open up through the torso. Left shoulder under. Right shoulder by. Down, but the bicep is by the ear. So there's maybe this one line from the fingers to the foot, maybe not. Lower the hips down. Inhale to reverse. Use your core to bring you up. Reach through those left fingertips, stretch. Exhale, back to your warrior two. Straighten your left leg, pivot your toes. Heel toe those feet in a little bit. Arms up overhead. Bend your right knee. Right foot kicks over to the left, back to your mountain pose. Arms by your sides. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Inhale, arms up. This time on your exhale, just a half step out to the right, half of what you did before. We're going to take the arms down to our lower back and see if you can reverse this Anjali Mudra with the hands behind the lower back. So regular Anjali Mudra is in front, hands in prayer position. See if you can open up and bring the fingers to the lower back and the elbows out. I know that might be hard to see. If you can't do that, that's no problem. Take your hands to your hips. Lift up the toes and pivot once to the right with both feet. We want the hips to be pretty square here. Walk your foot out to the right if you're not sure. That'll give you just a little bit more space. So left hip forward, right hip back. Press from the heels. Inhale, lift up your chest. On your exhale, begin to hinge forward. Leaning. Not really leaning, but aiming over towards, let's say, the second toe of the right foot. So the one next to your biggest toe. And maybe you can bring the upper body down. Maybe your hands are still in that Anjali Mudra position. If it is, try to squeeze those elbows back towards each other. You might have your interlacing the fingers at the lower back, reaching the knuckles up and over instead, right? There's always different options. Weight is in the heels. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. From the core, press from the feet. Inhale to come back up. Lift up your toes and we'll pivot the feet to the left. So adjust what you need to. Sometimes we need a wider base, so bring the left foot out a little bit further. No big deal. Right hip forward. Inhale, lift up your chest. Squeeze the thighs. Use your core to extend from the torso. Use your exhale to bring your upper body down. So we're spinning the thighs in towards each other. Internal rotation, now different than in our last set of postures. Pressing from the feet, press back into the hips. From your core, inhale to come up. Lift your toes, pivot once to the right. Left foot meets the right foot. Back to your mountain pose. All right, we're gonna take tree, a quick tree, very quick tree, and then we're gonna lower down to the floor. So left foot grounds, lift your right heel, take your knee out to the right, hip open on the right side. Squeeze the right heel up to maybe the ankle, maybe mid-calf. If you feel good about it, take your hand to your heel and pull it up to the inner thigh. Still tracking the right knee open. Squeeze the left thigh into the right foot or the left side of the foot, anywhere the right foot's touching. No contact with the foot and the knee. One or both hands to heart center. From the core, lift up your chest. Press your left foot down, and when you're ready, maybe you send the arms up, maybe out, maybe hands to the hips, maybe close your eyes. Not here for too long, so think about 2 rounds of breath, as slow as you can. Deep breath in. And on your exhale, slowly release back to your mountain pose. Right foot grounds, left heel lifts. Take your knee out to the left. Hip is open on the left side. Slide your heel up to where it should go on this side. What's best for you? It could be a totally different tree. Keep tracking the left knee open. Check in with the right foot. Make sure you're not kicking the hip out with the foot. Make sure you squeeze the right leg from the hip on the right side all the way down to the right foot. You feel the weight between the toes and the heel. Find that arm placement. That's going to work best for you. No such thing as a wrong tree. Deep breath in. On your exhale, release. From your mountain pose, inhale, arms up. Maybe you look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. On your exhale, squat and curl. So rounding down into that little ball shape again. All right, reach the arms forward. If you like, we're going to try to lower down to our seat. So stretch out from the heels, maybe land the heels, then the seat. Maybe you just did a back flip and you kept going. It takes a while. Don't give yourself a hard time if it didn't work out for you this time. Flex the feet out in front of you. We're going to take a seated forward fold before we lay down. So rock a little bit left and right. Pick up your seat if you need to. Flexing the feet, inhale, arms reach up. On your exhale, reach forward. From here, hang on to something. That could be the sides of the feet. Fuse fingers around the toes. Remember, we did this from a standing position. You could have your hands closer to the floor, trying to wrap the elbows down and around. You can use a strap. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Lower your head down and slowly come up. All right, place your feet to the floor, bend the knees, scoot a little bit forward, reach the arms forward, lift your chest, use your core, and on your exhale, we'll lower back. Bring your knees into your chest, give yourself a little squeeze. And then flex your feet, press your hips down towards the floor. Take those elbows in towards your sides if they're out, and then bring your shoulders down towards the floor. If you have a hard time with this, put a pillow under your head, put a strap around the front of your legs. Deep breath in. Exhale, pull the knees towards your chest, kick from the heels and press your hips down. Inhale, belly lifts up towards your legs. Exhale and pull. Once more on your own. Engage your core. Kick your heels up towards your ceiling. Flex your feet. Make sure the toes are pointed down towards you a little bit or in that direction. Reach your fingertips towards your toes. Lift your head and shoulders off your mat. Hold it here or pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, lift up and hold. Kick from the heels, use the thighs, use the pelvic floor, lift 1 more inch, breathe in. Exhale, lower down, give yourself a little hug. Extend your left leg long, hang on to your right knee. Flex both feet, bring your left heel all the way down to the floor. Inhale, belly lifts. Exhale, pull the right knee up towards the right shoulder, not outside of the hip though. We want the knee to stay lined up with the hip. Inhale, exhale and pull. Last one, breathe in. Exhale to pull. Right foot down, slide your hips over and take your twist. Right leg across your body. Now your right arm can open up. Make sure that the right shoulder meets the floor if you reach your arm out. And you may need things like a block underneath the knee. Maybe a bolster is a better choice for you here. We hold this position a lot longer in my restorative class on Fridays. So you can learn a lot about how to support yourself in this shape if you take that class and then implement it in this class. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Engage your core and slowly roll back to your center. Shift your hips back into place so that the shoulders and the hips are lined up. Both knees in, a little squeeze. Extend your right leg long. Flex both feet. Inhale, belly lifts. Exhale, pull the left knee up towards the chest. Keep flexing your feet. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale to pull. Last one on your own. Left foot down. Slide your hips to the left and take your twist. Engage your core, roll back to your center. Slide the hips back over so hips, heels, shoulders are pretty lined up. Then press down into your heels, squeeze your glutes, slide your tailbone down a little bit and lower it back down. You could call that like a miniature baby bridge. I just call that a way to realign your spine real quick. So soles of the feet together, let your knees fall open. Supta Baddha Konasana or recline bound angle. Please put support under the feet or under the knees if the inner thighs are screaming at you. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Press into your feet, draw your knees in towards each other. Walk your feet out, let your knees fall in towards each other. And you might bring one knee down, then the other. Walk your feet back into place so your heels and knees are in alignment with each other. Knees in, give yourself one last hug. You're welcome to lift up your head, maybe the forehead and the knees touch. It's okay if they don't. Maybe happy baby's a better idea for you. Grab your feet, bring your knees down towards the underarms and press the hips down. And there's lots of options here, movement, stillness, extending one or both legs. Just be mindful of your knees. When you're ready, settle into our final shape, Shavasana, corpse pose. Heels in, toes out. Shoulder blades in to lift the chest, palms up. Maybe a pillow under your head, maybe a bolster under your knees. There's no such thing as a wrong Shavasana, as long as you're able to be still and you're practicing letting go of what's next in your day. letting go of the shapes you have just experienced and how you might be judging them in your body, or judging them from maybe another time you took yoga. And just taking this time to focus on how you can let go of the muscles contracting. So talk to your left shoulder, tell it to relax, and talk to your right shoulder and tell them to relax together. And over time, you'll talk yourself into relaxing. Closing the eyes, deep breath in, slow breath out. We'll be here for about a minute, and we'll end class formally at our seats. You are welcome to stay in this shape as long as your time allows. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your head a little side to side. And take your time coming up to your seat. Okay, so a comfortable seat may not be my comfortable seat, right? So please sit how it's best for you. Sitting up tall, engaging the core, shoulders down, lifting up your chest. Let your eyes close. We'll do 3 really strong breaths in and out to just bring some energy back to the body. Inhale, belly expands. Through your nose, forceful exhale. Hear yourself breathe, that's okay. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Normal breathing now. If it's a part of your practice, back to your Anjali Mudra. Take a moment to thank your mind and your body for what it is capable of today. Because we know that can change anytime, whether it's good, bad, and different, right? So happy for where we are today, hopeful for tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, please put them there in the chat. I'll check in just a moment. Otherwise, hope to see you on Friday at 10 a.m. for Stretch and Rest. Thank you.